Imagine that you're standing in the middle of the Egyptian desert, the golden sand stretching as far as the eye can see. The sun is burning overhead, casting long shadows from the towering pyramids. But in front of you, half buried in the sand, sits something even older, something even more mysterious: the Great Sphinx of Giza. This massive statue, with the body of a lion and the face of an ancient ruler, has guarded the desert for thousands of years. But here's the strangest part. No one knows exactly who built it or why. Some believe it was a symbol of power, a guardian of the pyramids. Scientists made a discovery so shocking, so unexpected, that it sent shivers down their spines. A hidden hatch, a secret door on top of the Sphinx's head, was opened for the first time in history. The Great Sphinx is one of the oldest and largest statues in the world. But it's not just a statue. For decades, explorers and scientists have speculated that it could be hiding something beneath its massive stone body, ancient. Legends talk about secret tunnels and hidden chambers deep inside the Sphinx. Some believe there's an underground passageway leading to a lost library, one filled with the knowledge of an ancient civilization. Others think the Sphinx was built long before the pharaohs and could be a remnant of a forgotten past. And then there's the hatch, a small opening at the top of the Sphinx's head. Some have claimed to see it in old photographs. Others dismissed it as nothing more than a natural crack in the stone. But the Egyptian government has been surprisingly quiet about it, never allowing anyone to explore it. Until a team of researchers, using advanced 3D scans, proved it was not just a crack. Under strict government supervision, a team of archaeologists and engineers carefully removed the stone covering the hatch. No one knew what to expect. As the dust settled, the scientists peered inside. What they saw made them freeze. A narrow tunnel, pitch black and cold, extended deep into the Sphinx's head. The walls were smooth, as if intentionally carved by human hands. And then, just a few feet in, they found something. Symbols. Etched into the stone, they were ancient and distinct from any Egyptian hieroglyphs ever discovered. Some were faded, others sharp and clear, as if someone, thousands of years ago, had tried to leave a message. But there was one marking that stood out among the rest. It was a warning, a single phrase etched into the rock. Do not wake the sleeper. Some say the Sphinx was never just a statue. It was a tomb, not for a pharaoh, but for something else, something that wasn't meant to be disturbed. Others believe it's a gateway, a marker built by an ancient civilization that knew something about our world's past that we have long forgotten. Mainstream archaeology has claimed for over a century that Pharaoh Khafre carved the Sphinx around 2500 BCE. This claim was based not on direct inscriptions, the Sphinx carries none, but on proximity to Khafre's pyramid and temples. These discoveries reveal that there is much more to the biblical story than you ever imagined. Truths that have been kept secret for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. And now, as old certainties are put to the test, finding clarity and understanding can completely redefine your faith journey. That's exactly what Forgotten Prophecies, the apocalyptic revelations that can change your future, offers. A path of guidance and wisdom through little explored biblical revelations, pointing to what really awaits us. This ebook delves deep into the prophecies and provides insights into tomorrow. And best of all, it's available for free. Click the link in the first comment and secure yours now before this opportunity is gone. But in the early 1990s, geological studies began to seriously challenge that assumption. Yale-trained geologist Dr. Robert Schoch presented evidence that would shake the academic world. The patterns of erosion on the Sphinx's body weren't caused by wind and sand, but by heavy rainfall. That simple fact implied one devastating conclusion. The Sphinx had to predate the Sahara Desert's dry climate. That would place its construction at least 7,000 to 9,000 years ago, possibly even earlier, as far back as 10,000 BCE. If Dr. Schoch is right, the Sphinx would have been standing before the first cities rose in Mesopotamia, before the pyramids, before Stonehenge. This change isn't a minor correction to history. It's a nuclear rewrite, but that's not all. In 1995, seismic readings taken around the Sphinx revealed rectangular anomalies beneath its paws, massive voids that didn't match the surrounding bedrock. Experts speculated that these were either hollow chambers or vaults, and perhaps even man-made. Some believed the location could be the fabled Hall of Records, a legendary library described in ancient lore and promoted by mystics like Edgar Cayce, a supposed depository of lost knowledge from a forgotten civilization. The site has never been fully excavated. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities has blocked further exploration, often citing preservation concerns. However, leaked records indicate that select researchers received partial access. What they may have seen remains hidden. The hatch discovered at the top of the Sphinx, first captured in older aerial photographs and dismissed as a natural cavity, was found to lead into a narrow descending passage. Within it, walls bear unfamiliar symbols, completely distinct from Egyptian hieroglyphs. Among them was one message etched in near panic. The phenomenon isn't mythology. The inscription was found during recent internal scans and confirmed by satellite imaging overlays. The symbols, translated by linguistic experts who wish to remain anonymous, appear to belong to a proto-writing system that predates the dynastic era by millennia. Around the same time, author and researcher Graham Hancock began to suggest something even bolder: that the Sphinx and nearby monuments might be part of a global pattern of structures built by a long-lost civilization, one with knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and possibly energy far beyond anything recorded in the early Bronze Age. He pointed to the alignment of the Sphinx with the constellation Leo as it would have appeared around 10,500 BCE, arguing it was built to mirror the sky of a forgotten time. Some researchers suggest these ancient architects weren't just engineers. They were scientists, working with systems of energy, sound, and cosmic alignment. There are no inscriptions inside the Great Pyramid declaring its purpose. Unlike other royal tombs, there are no decorated walls or sarcophagus full of riches. Remember, the ebook that reveals even more about these little-known prophecies is still available for download. But act quickly, only a few copies remain. Don't miss out on the chance to discover what could revolutionize your understanding of the future. Author Graham Hancock believes these monuments were part of a global knowledge system shared by civilizations far older than Egypt or Mesopotamia, a system that encoded information into architecture, using structure as language. Cultures across the world built pyramids and megaliths, from South America to Indonesia to the British Isles. These cultures supposedly had no contact with one another, no trade, no ships, no shared language. Yet they all created monumental structures aligned with the stars, often using similar mathematical principles. Let's talk about the sky. Ancient structures were often aligned to specific constellations, not just for navigation or agriculture, but with an almost sacred precision. The Great Sphinx faces due east, gazing at the horizon where the sun rises during the spring equinox. In the distant past, around 10,500 BCE, the constellation Leo would have risen directly in front of it, a possible reason the Sphinx was carved with a lion's body. At the same time, the pyramids at Giza appear to mirror the stars in Orion's belt, an arrangement that only matches the sky of that same period. If so, the Sphinx and pyramids might be markers from a forgotten era, left behind to warn or guide future civilizations. Us. We have discovered underground chambers and water-filled tunnels beneath these structures, especially around the Sphinx. One of the most mysterious is the Osiris shaft, a multi-level vertical tunnel descending into the bedrock, partially submerged in groundwater. Inside are empty sarcophagi, strange artifacts, and no inscriptions to explain them. Some believe these deep, hidden places were used not for burial, but for initiation, spiritual transformation rituals that symbolize death and rebirth, mirroring the myth of Osiris. Others think they may have functioned as resonant chambers, harnessing natural energy fields through water, stone, and geometry. Modern researchers have detected electromagnetic anomalies within the Great Pyramid and unusually high acoustic resonance in certain chambers. The discovery has led to speculation that these ancient builders understood frequency and vibration and used them deliberately. In other words, they might have been using a kind of science we've only recently begun to rediscover. The Sphinx is officially dated to the reign of Pharaoh Khafra, around 2500 BCE, based only on the assumption that it was built during the same period as nearby pyramids. But here's the problem. The Sphinx has no inscriptions linking it to Khafra. None. Built next to it, the Sphinx temple consists of blocks so large they dwarf anything else from that era. Don't forget that the gateway to these life-changing revelations is just a click away. secure your copy of the ebook Forgotten Prophecies, the apocalyptic revelations that can change your future. Now before it's too late. They are limited. The reuse of those same blocks to construct Khafra's mortuary temple is even more puzzling. This implies the Sphinx is older than Khafra, not a project of his reign. That's the idea Graham Hancock has championed for years. According to him, sites like the Sphinx, the pyramids, and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 11,600 years ago, suggest a shared legacy from a forgotten world. A world where people understood geometry, astronomy, and perhaps even energy manipulation. If we accept that possibility, it means we must rebuild the historical timeline from the ground up. That's not easy. For many academics, it's terrifying. Their careers, publications, and reputations are rooted in the old model. Science changes with new evidence. Consensus resists change to protect stability. Right now, history is caught between the two. The scans revealed hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx. The alignment of the Sphinx's gaze with Leo dates back to 10,500 BCE. The water damage remains unexplained. These aren't fairy tales. They're measurable, testable facts. However, they elicit defensiveness rather than an honest investigation. The story of human history is not just academic, it is cultural. It tells us where we came from. It gives us context for who we are. And most people, especially institutions, don't like the idea that everything they believe could be wrong. There may be other sites just like the Sphinx, older, stranger, misdated, or buried under modern cities. The first red flag didn't come from an archaeologist. It came from a geologist. In the early 1990s, Dr. Robert Schoch of Boston University analyzed the Sphinx not for its shape, but for its wear patterns. What he saw didn't match the desert environment. Instead of sharp, wind-driven erosion typical of Sahara conditions, the Sphinx showed rounded, vertical damage, the kind made by years of heavy rainfall. According to climate data, that much rain hasn't fallen in Giza for over 7,000 years. In fact, such rainfall hasn't occurred since the end of the last ice age, during the Neolithic subpluvial, between 10,000 and 5,000 BCE. Don't miss out on the opportunity to secure your free ebook, packed with never-before-seen revelations. Act now. There are only a few copies left to uncover the mysteries that await you. The observation that water, not sand, eroded the Sphinx's body suggests its carving thousands of years earlier than Egypt's first pharaohs. Traditional historians often dismiss this information because it doesn't align with the textbook timeline. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza, built with an estimated 2.3 million limestone blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons. The pyramid's precision is beyond what was expected of the ancient world. The pyramid aligns its sides to true north within 1/20th of a degree, and its base is nearly perfectly level. No mortar holds it together. These aren't lucky guesses. They show advanced knowledge of geometry, surveying, and construction logistics, skills believed to be developed millennia later. The question is not just how the Egyptians moved the stones, but how they planned them with such accuracy. Astronomy also plays a critical role. The Sphinx doesn't just sit randomly in the desert. It faces due east, watching the horizon where the sun rises during the spring equinox, around 2500 BCE, the date echoed by geologic findings. The constellation Leo would have risen in the east at dawn, lining up perfectly with the Sphinx. And the three pyramids at Giza? Their layout mirrors the stars in Orion's belt, which were linked in ancient myths to Osiris, the god of the underworld. This kind of alignment takes knowledge of celestial movement over thousands of years, particularly the precession of the equinoxes, a slow cyclical wobble in Earth's rotation that takes 26,000 years to complete. Mainstream history says this feature was discovered in the 2nd century BCE, but the builders of Giza appear to have understood it 10,000 years earlier. Another surprising area of research is acoustics, how sound behaves inside solid structures. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid has been found to resonate at specific frequencies. Sound in this chamber doesn't just echo. It lingers, amplifies, and moves through the stone itself. These aren't accidental features. Modern engineers have noted that the chamber behaves like a resonator, meaning its shape and materials may have been designed to manipulate vibrations or energy. Some even speculate it could have served as a kind of sonic tool, possibly for rituals, healing, or unknown technologies. It's not just theory. Experiments have demonstrated that certain tones stimulate vibrational effects within the pyramid's core. The ancient builders may have known how to harness the Earth's natural frequencies, something we're only beginning to understand today. Finally, we must look at myth not as fantasy, but as coded memory. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. The tale of Osiris, the god of death and resurrection, involves disassembly, underwater burial, and return from the dead. The Osiris shaft beneath the Giza Plateau, a 3-level subterranean structure filled with water, mirrors this myth with eerie precision. The greatest discoveries now come when disciplines work together. When a geologist talks to an architect, or when a physicist reads an ancient myth and sees equations where others saw magic. For centuries, people believed the Sphinx was just a symbol, part lion, part human, carved to protect the pyramids. But when scientists discovered a strange hatch at the top of its head, everything changed. This hatch isn't decorative, it's not cracked or broken. It looks like an access point, as if it was made to open. Some believe it could be the entrance to something hidden deep inside the Sphinx, something that was sealed away thousands of years ago, not just a chamber, but a preservation chamber. Like a high-tech tomb with climate control and protective shielding, built not to bury the dead, but to pause them. Many ancient cultures, from Egypt to India to South America, talk about beings who went to sleep and would return one day. They didn't say these people died. They claimed to have hidden them away until the stars were right, or the earth was ready. The ancient Egyptians had stories about gods who died and were reborn, like Osiris, who was cut into pieces and placed in a hidden chamber only to rise again. Some researchers believe these stories weren't just spiritual metaphors. They may have been literal instructions passed down over thousands of years. If this theory is true, it means the Sphinx contains something more advanced than we can explain with tools from the ancient world. It would require ventilation systems, temperature regulation, and maybe even some form of suspended animation, a kind of long-term stasis that slows the body and the brain almost to a stop. Think of it like a super high-tech sleeping bag, built to keep a person alive for thousands of years, waiting for the right moment to wake them up. Some researchers believe that vibration technology, sound waves, or natural magnetic fields, forces we are only now beginning to understand, could have accomplished this. They believe the Sphinx was designed to harness these forces from the Earth itself. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. The head of the Sphinx, where the hatch is located, may have acted like a switch, an energy collection point, or even an antenna, waiting for a signal to activate the system below. Some people believe the recent interest in the Sphinx's hatch and the possible discoveries made inside may have already triggered the process. They wonder if the systems buried beneath the Sphinx are starting to activate, or worse, failing. If you're enjoying this story, hit that super thanks button. Your support helps us keep digging into hidden truths, lost knowledge, and stories the world forgot. The sleep chamber theory may sound like science fiction, but it's based on a simple idea. Ancient people may have known far more than we give them credit for. They might have understood life, energy, even consciousness in ways we're only beginning to study today. A sealed hatch rests atop the head of the Great Sphinx. Dismissed for years, ignored by mainstream experts, it stood quiet until now. We have opened that hatch. What it revealed remains partly hidden from public view. However, the implications have already become apparent. In this view, every chamber, every alignment, every carving isn't symbolic, it's functional. A system, an alert, a countdown. While we gazed at the surface for centuries, the Sphinx awaited activation, not admiration. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.